Well, hello. I'm so excited to have you all with us today. And today's guest, I tell you what, this man has been a hero of mine for over 30 years. He was the one that got me excited about the personality styles to begin with. And those that know me know that my big thing, one of them is my animals within. And Dr. Alessandra is the one that inspired all of that. And he has got a phenomenal assessments 24/7 that I encourage all of you to go out and look at. But that being said, I've got the best guest ever. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. Dr. Tony Alessandra, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming.
Karen, listen, it's my honor. I appreciate it.
Oh, and I know you'll go over much of it as you tell us about your journey, but tell us a little bit about yourself and about your journey.
Yeah, so just a very quick overview bio. Got my PhD in marketing. In 1970, I started out as a university professor teaching. The last university was the University of San Diego, which kind of brought me out to San Diego in 1976. But in December of 78, I decided to go out on my own, become a full-time professional speaker. I averaged about 100 speeches a year for, nearly 40 years. But it's a lot of travel, and I started to burn out. And in 2000, I took my entire staff, my speaking staff, spun them off into a separate business called speakersoffice.com. And they still managed me, but I started building this online assessment business called Assessments 24/7, the Assessments 24x7. And as that grew, Karen, I did less and less and less speeches. And in April of 2022, I was giving a speech to about 500 people in Las Vegas and got a standing ovation. And of course, the classic dropping the mic, that was it. Have not spoken for free or for fee since then. And my total focus right now is on our online assessment business, which is a great business. So that's sort of a quick professional overview of.
All right.
Yeah. But there's a lot more to that, Karen.
I was going to say, I know there's a lot more to that. I know that you grew up in, I'm going to say, the city and place of hard knocks, and you have become the mentor and coach and inspiration to the world that you've become. So tell us a little bit about your journey. And I don't know if you want to go back that far or not, but hey, I just opened it up so that you could.
Well, I do want to go back that far because it did have a major imprint on my life. So I was born in New York City. First 3 years of my life was in the Lower East Side of New York City. And then the next 6 years, up until 9 years old, I lived in the projects. You know, they're the high-rise, low-income areas. My father was a New York City cab driver. My mother did not work. She took care of us. But that was in the Chelsea section of New York City. At 9 years old, we moved to the Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn, which is an all-Italian neighborhood. We lived in the same brownstone, which is a 3-story building, with my grandmother and my father's sister and her family. That was a great experience growing up in that environment, because we had always lived in apartments up till then. This was like a home, although my grandmother owned it. And the neighborhood was filled with kids within a year of my age. So either a year younger or a year older, because most of the men in that neighborhood had gone to World War II. When they came back, they had babies and so and so. It was a great experience. When I turned 12, my parents decided to move to Jersey City. So I became a Jersey, lived there for 3 years. Then we moved to the Jersey Shore, Toms River, New Jersey, which is adjacent to Seaside Heights, which is where that MTV, I think it was, Jersey Shore, whatever it was, all that stuff was filmed. So now let's so I went to high school in Jersey. I went to 3 different high schools. I went to St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City. That's where I started. Then went to St. Rose in Belmar, New Jersey, and eventually the last 2 years, Toms River High School. So let me go back just a little. I think one of the big turning points in my life, and this is kind of crazy, so bear with me on this one. But growing up in the projects, New York City, I must be probably now maybe 7, 8 years old. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I was down in the playground. Where I lived were 4 big high-rise buildings, and in the middle of it was, a little park and playground for the kids, and et cetera. So one day, I somehow got in a fight, first fight ever, and got beaten up. So I went upstairs. Yeah, I went upstairs to my father. Now, my father, my whole family is Italian. Okay, so my father knew what it was like to grow up in New York City, which he did too. So my father was first generation. I'm second generation Italian, and he basically. I don't want to use the word threatened, but said I must go back downstairs and face that kid again. Otherwise, I will be constantly picked on and bullied.
He strongly encouraged you.
Yeah, as he took off his belt, which you can't do today.
Oh, yeah, I can't do that today. But yes, yeah. I grew up with that era.
Okay, so you know what it's like. And so I went back down, and for whatever reason, the same kid who had just beaten me up, it was him or me. There's my father. I beat him up. And that led to a series of other kids who knew this other kid coming by over the next weeks and months and challenging me to a fight. And then I would win the fight and win the fight and win the fight. And what it did, it started building up this self-confidence in me. And it allowed me to carry myself a particular way. And I became very accomplished, let's say, as a street fighter. Quite frankly, if they had MMA, the cage fighting.
Yep.
Then I guarantee you I would have been in it. And so it did affect my life in a very positive way. And that was friends and other people never put pressure on me to smoke or drink or whatever. I used this fighting ability to actually go against bullies who were picking on other people. So I became sort of a protector of people who were picked on, always going for the underdog. I mean, I rooted in baseball for the Brooklyn Dodgers, so you had to root for an underdog back then. They were not the best team. And it really allowed me to carry myself in a particular way. And as I went through school, I participated in sports, track, football, baseball, in college, football, rugby. And another big turning point, I got accepted to the University of Notre Dame. And
wow.
I remember I applied to a lot of colleges, and I got accepted to all these colleges. And the last one, I remember coming home from school, and back then, we were bused to the schools. I had to walk to my house. And as I got to my house, my mother always knew what time I was going to get home. She's standing on the front lawn with a letter, waving it, and just almost jumping up and down with excitement. It was my acceptance to the University of Notre Dame. And I was happy about that. I loved the concept of Notre Dame. I used to follow their football, because I played football in high school. And I said to my mother, yeah, but Mom, we just can't afford it. I was going to go to Rutgers, which was a state university. Right. And she said, you know what? We have enough money saved up so you can get through your freshman year. And something will happen. Something will come up. So I did go to Notre Dame. And when I came back after my freshman year,